until I hit my last breath. Music's everlasting even if past death. Not overacting, music's never past tense. Colliding with the greats, welcome to this crash test.
All right, guys, another episode of the BringTheBars podcast. I'm joined with the person who finally beat that damn wheel, Spryte The Emcee. How have you been?
Doubt, man, that wheel. I was in the drawing every month, right? Since you started the drawing, because I'm like real active.
You're in everyone.
Everyone, and it always went like when it hit G Bones last month, and it went like to me, I was like, yay, and then it went to G Bones. I was like, what the heck? So when you said you were doing the drawing, I was like, the wheel. That's all I say. I was like, the wheel. But yeah, now it's I won it. Now watch, next month
Finally
I'll win it too.
Yeah,
I'll be like,
finally got it.
Yeah.
So you're new to the show. It's your first time on. So everybody listening on radio, let them know a little bit about you and where they can find your music.
Okay, so my name is Spryte. I go on all musical platforms with Spryte The Emcee. You got to spell Spryte with a Y, Spryte, the MCEE. I'm on all major platforms. I've been rhyming for 29 years, 30 years, since I was like 10 years old. Didn't record till I was 19, but I actually started rhyming when I was very young, and then doing battles when I was like 15 years old on street corners and in, bars when I had a fake ID back in the 90s. You could get any bar with a fake ID. But yeah, I've been rhyming a long time. Just signed with BTB back in June, and just coming back off a 5-year retirement from music because I went to Penn State for college, and back in the game now. It's been fun. It's been a fun year.
What brought you back? Because like you said, you took like 5 years off, and what drew you back to hip hop?
I had signed with another record label 9-10 years ago, and when I left to go to Pennsylvania for Penn State, I told him I'm going to take 4 or 5 years to go to college, and then when I get my master's, I'm going to come back and do a Hey, I'm Back album, because it would be my 20th album. I have 19 finished albums. So I thought 20 was a good number to end my hip hop career on, right? I'm 40 years old, 20 albums, I'm done. Now, things changed. I ended up not working with the other label. I came with you, and I came back, and it's been really my old fans from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 12 years ago. I have an email list of like 8,000 people. So I emailed everyone I knew and said, hey, I'm coming back. And it's been people are receiving me back. Like they haven't forgot about me, which was exciting because, I'm like the white girl from Green Bay. That's what everyone says when they hear Spryte. They're like, oh, that white girl from Green Bay. It's like, yeah, that's me. So I'm back, and I'm not going to be retiring anytime soon.
Well, I can say I'm glad that you're back and part of BTB Records. And you're saying at the beginning too, you've been pretty much rhyming since you're really young, but your first time to actually recording was 19. What made you take that step to actually go into the booth and be like, I want to put this on a track now? Well,
okay, so this is my first song recorded. Is called Rough and Tough. I've never released it. I do have it, but I've never released it. And then the second song I recorded was Why You Want a Girl, Why You Want a Girl, right? That song had been swimming in my head for years. I had done a battle in, I think it was either Detroit or Ames, Iowa. I don't remember. Long time ago, lots of drugs. But anyway, I won a battle, and this guy comes up to me. His name's Trackmaster Tim Burton. And he walked up to me and goes, hey, Spryte, can I get one of your CDs? I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? or cassette tapes back then. Can I get one of your tapes? And I was like, I don't record. He's like, what you mean you don't record? I'm like, no one's ever asked me to record. I battle. I go to battles. I pay my $20. I win 500. I go to the next town, pay my $50, win my 500, whatever. And he's like, we got to get you in the studio. I'm like, okay, well, where do you live? He's like, Appleton, Wisconsin. I'm like, what? We're like 5 hours from home, right? And he's in Appleton. I live in Green Bay. It's 20 minutes away. So he's like, here's my information. Get a hold of me. The next week I went there with my notepad with 4 songs in it. And Why You Want a Girl, I started rapping it to him. And as I was rhyming it, he's like, hold on, let me make you a beat. He gets out his little beat machine maker thing and makes the beat over me just rapping. And then he's like, okay, go in there, put the headphones on, and then stand by the mic and do a mic check. I'm like, okay, how do I do that? He's like, just say mic check. I'm like, mic check. He's like, well, keep saying it. I'm like, mic check, mic check, mic check, 1, 2, mic check, And I recorded it 1 take, all verses. And then we went back and he told me, okay, now I want you to do the hooks again. I was like, why? He's like, because we're recording it. I'm like, I don't understand. He's like, this is your first time in the studio. Just do what I tell you. I'm like, okay. And so that was it. And then Why You Want a Girl was on 95.9 Kiss FM, local radio station. And yeah, it was album, like 2 a year, like lots of
crazy when you think like you're in the booth the first time, you don't really know what you're doing. Everybody, I think even my thought process is you record your thing once and that's it. Like,
and then
you don't think of like highlights or like dubs
overs,
or
unders. Yeah.
Yeah, ad libs.
He's like, now I want you to say, why you want a girl? Really sexy. I'm like, what? I'm a tomboy. I'm not sexy. He's like, no, just say, why you want a girl? Say it sexy. I'm like, okay. He's like, now listen in your headphones. You're going to hear yourself, but the second why you want a girl, I want you to say it with yourself, but sexy. Like, okay. Cause I'm aggressive on the mic. Every song I write, it sounds like a battle rap because I'm a battle rapper. I'm not a recording artist. Right. So, I mean, now I get in this, ask Hector Biggs. He loves working with me. I get in there. I'm like, okay, let me practice. All right, let's do it. One take. He's like, now what? I'm like, let's do the hook. Whoop. Okay, now what? Second verse. Whoop. Okay, overs, unders. Yep. 10 minutes. I'm done. Right. Because I practiced at home 1,000,000 times until I get in the booth. And so I waited in my headphones. Why you want a girl? Why you want a girl? He's like, oh, that's perfect. And then he like did something for like 20, 30 minutes and he played the whole song back to me. And I was like, holy sugar plums, that's awesome. He's like, yeah, that's how you record. I was like, I want to record more. He's like, do you have more songs written? I'm like, I don't know, give me a beat, I'll write to it. So yeah.
What do you prefer more? Do you find it more fun to hop on stage and do a battle or to actually have a track from beginning to end and work on that?
Because I haven't lost a battle since 2016, I prefer battling. I mean, I throughout the Midwest for a really long time, and I don't mean to be racist, but every black guy wanted to rap against Spryte, right? Because they knew I was a white girl. And I just laid them out one at a time because they all came at me with something derogatory, right? Get down on your knees. I'm going to throw you in the back. You know, that's all they could talk about was sexually violating me. So I knew what they were going to say. Lots of them came with a 16 or a 32 written, and you could tell it was written. So I would listen real close when they were going for, if they went first, we did a, you know, like a heads or tails flip. And most of the guys were like, ladies first. I'm like, I'll go first. I'll beat you anyway. So it don't matter to me, but you always want to be the last one in a battle. You want to have the final, you know,
you want to be able to rebuttal.
You want the last one, right? So I like shows. I've done shows. The largest crowd I did was in Boulder, Colorado. I think it was Boulder or Denver. It was the Mighty Ducks Stadium. It was a rave at the Mighty Ducks Stadium. And I was emceeing with a couple jungle DJs and 2 techno DJs, but it was about 15,000 people. But there's weird when you're on stage, you have headbuds in and you're rapping and it echoes. When you're in a large stadium like that, it echoes like really bad. So if you're listening to yourself out there, you can't stay on the beat, right?
Yeah.
So I prefer battles, but I mean, I can do a 30, 45 minute set and rock it if I have to. I've done, you know, over probably 1,000 shows in 30 years, 20 years, 25 years.
Yeah. When was the last battle you've done?
Shoot. Penn State campus. My second year at Penn State, that was 2015, 16, 2017. Saquon Barkley was there. We were in the hub, like sitting in the hub, and a bunch of guys were rhyming, all black kids over here rapping and stuff, 20-year-olds. And I listened in, I was like, are you guys ciphering or battling? And they're like, what you know about ciphering and battling? I'm like, man, don't you know who I am? And I made it real, like, you know, funny because they had no idea who I was. And I was like, my name's Spryte. And they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a battle rapper. And like, all right, let's go. So this one guy pulled out his cell phone and he's like, all right, I'll give you each 45 seconds. And we had no beat. We just went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we got a crowd around us. There's probably 30, 40 people standing around us by the time it was all said and done. And it's by the crowd, you know how the crowd responds to you. So that was the last one I did. Before that, it was 2014. And I was on like a 6-year streak. Nobody could take me out. So
and I want to go way back. I want to go back to what was the first like hip hop song you heard that made you fall in love with this genre of music, or the first artist, if you even remember that recollection, that memory.
I remember it vividly. It was the first weekend my dad picked us up after the divorce, and he had Raising Hell, Run DMC 1986. And the song Peter Piper came on. Now Peter Piper picked peppers and run rock rhymes. Humpty Dumpty fell down. That's his hard time. Like that song came on, and I hit stop on the cassette player because I was in the front seat. My brother and sister were in the back. And my dad had let me listen to Grandmaster Flash before that, and LL Cool J. I think it was was it Tone Loc? I don't remember. I think it was LL Cool J. But anyway, Peter Piper, that song by Run DMC. That was it. And I listened to that tape all weekend at my dad's house that weekend. Sunday night, we got home. He gave me the tape. I was in my room memorizing it. My mom came in and was like, what is this garbage? I'm like, Mom, this is rap. I'm going to be a rapper. She's like, you can't be a rapper. You're white. And I'm like, I'm going to be a rapper. And then the Beastie Boys came out years later. And I was like, oh, I can be a rapper because there's white people rapping. And my dad's like, you're a girl. I'm like, well, real Roxanne's a girl, you know? So 1986, Peter Piper. About a month later, my dad picked us up and he gave me a screwdriver. I was like, what's this? He goes, well, it's your microphone. I said, for what? He's like, so you can practice. Man, I walked around school for 5 years with that little microphone, my little screwdriver, and I would rap. I'd freestyle down the hallways like, hey, yo, it's Mary. I'm really scary. Me and my girl, Nikki, we going to math. Principal looking at me. Oh, he's mad. And I would narrate all the way down the hall. Finally, they called my mom and dad in. And it was like, she can't rap in the hallways. My mom's like, why not? And my dad's like, why? She's just creatively expressing herself. And yeah, it didn't go over real well because I started, I was listening to gangster rap, Too Short, Ice-T, NWA. So I would mimic those rappers. And then, I got in a little trouble for that stuff. But yeah, 1986, Peter Piper, that was it.
That's awesome. And you touched on this a little bit too when you were just talking there. And I wanted to ask you is, you're a female MC. And out of all, this is episode 49, I think, might be 50. And this is the first female MC I've ever had on this show. I've tried to look out for some, bring them in. There has been a couple in the BTB group, but none of them really stay. So what are like pros and cons of being a female MC in this pretty much male dominated genre of music, really? Yeah,
that's hard because I've always promoted what I like, right? Even back in the day when I was rapping, I had other guys, no other girls. I had one girl, Fusion from Green Bay, who rhymed, but then she had a baby and then she quit rhyming. But I would take like my 5 or 6 guys. They were like, man, we want to do shows. So I was like, man, I can do shows. So I started booking shows under Daydreams Productions. I ran this production company for 9 years and got us gigs at different bars. Then I started promoting, rave DJs. And the pros was I was kind of like the mama bear, right? Like all these guys were the same age as me, but I was the one bringing in the crowds. I was the one booking the shows. I was the one getting us on the radio. So all the guys supported me because by wanting to be a part of a crew, right, brought them with me. So when I did, the car show in Milwaukee in front of 7,000 people, I was like, well, I'm bringing 3 of my boys. Well, I had 12 boys and they were all like, well, who are you bringing? Who are you bringing? I'm like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. And I've always been in that leadership role. I always elevate those that I like around me up with me. You know what I'm saying? Like Otis Isaacs, Lex Lethal, Ty the Tyrant, like Triple Stack. These guys, I'm like, whoa, I listen to them a lot. I bring them with me everywhere I go. Dana Copperfield, I promote Dana Copperfield all the time. And he is on a rival label, but I promote Dana like crazy. So the pros are, I'm a girl, I got boobs. So all the boys like, oh, they just like you because you got tits and ass. Like, man, that's not true. I'm cute. I dress up nice, but that's not the only reason. I have bars. Otherwise, I won't be BTB. So the pros are, as being a female, I can use my sex appeal to get me bookings, get me shows, get the guys to pay attention. And at the same time, the cons are, I'm a girl. I'm never in the boys club. As much as the boys will, and I've noticed it too with the groups I'm in on Facebook, it hasn't changed. Like the guys would go and play cards on Thursday night. You think I ever got asked to go play cards? No. Because I don't have a dick. Sorry, but I don't. So it's like, oh, we're all going to go out to the strip club on Saturday. Did I get asked to go to a strip club? No. But the guys would hang out and they would be friends and build those relationships, the guys. But I was always Spryte. Oh, that's just Spryte. It's just been something ingrained in me that I have to accept, that the boys are never going to go for me like I go for them. And it's sad because if I had 3 guys that would promote me, like I promote the ones I promote, man, you couldn't stop me if I had the support, but I just don't because I'm a girl. They always look like it's cool to get me on a song as a feature because I have that different sound, but I'm never included in the boys club. KC,
it's crazy to think when you first came into the BTB group, you're invited, I guess, from somebody else. I don't know how it came about with you coming in, but we were started, like the group was started and you came in and then I just saw you just sharing and I kept seeing your name sharing everybody's stuff. Then I'm like, hey, who is this? Because I didn't know, you were new and it was just like, I didn't know where you came from, what happened. And then out of nowhere, I think I sent you a message or you sent me something. You told me about your battle rapping career, this and that. One of the first songs I heard from you was Why You Want a Girl. And then after that, I just re-released it. Yeah, I was just like, okay, this is who this is. But at first I didn't think anybody networked like that, kind of like what I was trying to do. And you just came in and you found people you love, like you say, and you just.
JP the Pompaphilian, you and Otis Isaacs, you don't know this about Faded Bars, but behind the scenes before that dropped, man, you guys got put on a lot of Spryte Eddie playlists.
Thanks. That was a lot of fun to do. Easy guy to
Yeah.
work with for sure.
Yeah,
And
I'm excited to work with them, but it's heart-wrenching because, you know, I'll have like Kronos will reach out to me and be like, hey, yo, Spryte, this, and this. JP will reach out to me and say this, and this. Me and Jump and Joe have been working together. And it's like 1 out of every 10 guys will reach out and be a friend, right? And actually really, you know, and I haven't posted any new music because I haven't recorded anything new yet, except Confessions and the Pay Attention lyric video. All the collabs I'm working on right now are still getting done. So I'm going to come out with a lot of music over the next like 2 months, right? And I'm hoping if someone hears the collab with me and Ty or me and Lex or me and whoever, me and you, and they like it, they'll share it. Not because they like KC, but because they're supporting Spryte. And I don't promote, like, I didn't promote your album with Otis and JP's new album with his brother just so JP would share my music. I don't do it like that. I'm not a share for share person, but karmically, I know it's gonna, you know, pan out. And, you know, I've had my success. I've made a lot of money off my music in 20 years. You know, I have an IRA set up. I have my royalty checks come in. Even the 5 years I wasn't making music, I still got royalty checks every month because I'm used on commercials in recovery centers that, you know, in California and Washington, they use my song One Addict at a Time in their orientation for the addicts coming in. They say, hey, listen to this girl's, you know, rap about addicts. And so that's just, yeah, it's hard being a girl, but you know, I can't change it.
yeah,
I can just come with more bars.
Stand out as well. You have to look at it that way, where you're completely unique from everybody else in the BTB group, pretty much, because it is all male dominated, really, the whole group. And luckily for me, at being, you know, you part of BTB Records, I get a lot of exclusive listens to what you guys are doing, and I heard some from you. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what can we, what can we expect coming from you and VA Savage in the near future?
We are doing an album. Did I let you hear our song we did?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So
yeah,
it's only been on Jay's Fire twice. And I think I messaged it to you and Kronos, and Hector Biggs knows because, you know, he recorded my verse. But so me and VA Savage is a female producer, rapper, and singer from Florida. She makes her own beats. She raps and she sings. And she's only been doing it since COVID. So about 1.5 years. And she went out and bought the stuff she needed to make beats. And she just went off and started making beats. And she has awesome beats. And finally she sent me a beat and said, hey, Spryte, let's do this song. It's about people talking, you know, gossiping about people and putting them down and all that negativity that goes around. You want to jump on it? I said, well, let me hear your verses. Yeah. I sent her back. Yes. I went to Hector 2 days later, did my verse. Now it's going over to James and it's getting its final mix and master done. So we're going to do a 12-song EP, and each song is going to have the content of dealing with something. So maybe it'll be, you know, mental health. Maybe it'll be abuse. Then the next one will be like dealing with addictions. And the next one will be like fake friends. So each song is going to have a topic that we're going to put in the mix for that song. You know what I mean? So Savage and me are working on an album. And then I've accumulated about 12 females that got a couple things working on with them. So yeah, I'm going to grab the girls. I'm going to get the girls involved, and we're going to start making some waves. Just a little.
What you sent for me to listen to, you posted in the BTB Records chat. Actually, we all heard it.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, and just the vibe of it, that whole sound, that sound you have. How long did it take you to find your sound? Like, you have a different sound with an old school vibe, but with like a new school twist. Like, how long did it take you to kind of make that sound for yourself?
I would, well, obviously with recording, it changed. Like when I was a battle rapper, I just knew I was going in and going for the throat, right? I was just coming back at them, whatever they said to me, punchline heavy. When I started writing from like 19 to 25, 26, I put out like 4 or 5 albums. And that's when I really found my sound. But at 24, I was introduced to drum and bass. DJ Aphrodite, you know, Danny the Wild Child out of Chicago. I started getting into raves and doing drum and bass, jungle beats. That's my forte. That fast rapping, cut punch, you know. And my voice is my best instrument. I'll change my voice real quick, make you think about this, you know, like I use my voice. I don't just deliver a song. Does that make sense? Like my fluctuation in the way I say things is really important to me. So I would say from like 14, when I started doing ciphers on street corners and parking lots and at guys' houses smoking Phillies, to about 25, I would say. So probably about 6-7 years, and I got in my groove. And like, I can rhyme over, like me and James right now are working on UK grime. I want to step over to the international side to UK grime. there's no American females that ever done UK grime because the pocket is different. Like if you ever listen to grime songs, it almost sounds like the rapper is off beat, but they're really not. They're in a pocket that Americans don't catch. And I'm learning that UK grime and drill, and I'm finding a new voice, which is very hard for me after 20 years of having my old school flavor, you know?
Yeah, that's actually what's going to lead into what I wanted to ask you next is, you know, you've been doing this a long time. You're still going at it. What do you want to do differently going forward? You're talking about trying to change your sound a little bit for the drill. What can we expect from you in the future that's just different from everything you ever done?
I think I want to find a softer side to me because I'm so battle ready. Like even when you listen to Confessions, it's like, it's a soft, sultry, nice song. You know, I'm telling someone I got a crush on him, I like him, but I still sound like a battle rapper. You could hear me like, get at that, right? So I want to find a softer side to Mary. Like I want Spryte to kind of evolve into a feminine woman, sound a little bit more like nicer because I come across very brazen, but that's just because I grew up on the streets and I ran away from home when I was 12 and I was a runaway from 12 to 19. You know, I mean, I got bounced back home a couple of times by the cops, but I never stayed more than 2 or 3 nights and I was hitchhiking back to where I need to go. So I want to be softer. I want to be gentler, nicer, kinder. But at the same time, I want MCs to know, man, don't mess with Spryte, dude. She'll put you in a song. You're gonna be crying. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do it. So
are you planning to bring that softer side out, I guess, for your BTB Records debut album? So I don't know if you have anything set for that album, titles, release dates, or whatever, but anything kind of set for that debut album that I'm damn excited to hear.
It's going to be all Genesis beats. I picked up a dirty dozen Genesis beats, so it'll be 12 songs. Okay. And then if you get it on Bandcamp, you're going to get an extra 3. So it'll be the 12 to the 15. It's going to be all solo projects, no collabs, which is weird because out of my 19 albums, I've only ever done one project that was all me and it was only 6 songs. That was it. One album. Everything else has had other features on it and guys with me. So it's going to be just mine. And I'm going to touch on some of the darker secrets in my life. You know, I was kidnapped, I was raped, I was tortured. Some bad things happened to me in my teens. Never rapped about it. I don't talk about it. It doesn't need to be talked about. I did it. I survived. I'm awesome. Boom. Right. So I'm actually working on writing some of the songs. I've got 2 songs written and I've got the beats picked out from Genesis. They're like darker, sad beats, but it's real talk. It's not for impressing another rapper. It's not for making BTB Records go, wow, Spryte's got bars. This is me opening up my soul and saying, okay, this happened. This is how bad it was. And I'm going to take you on a story. It's not going to be bars. It's going to be a little story, but it's pretty clever. Some of them are pretty clever, I think.
Well, that's what I like to hear because I remember we talked, I don't know, about a month ago, and you were telling me about you're also doing a whole collaboration EP or album that you want to work on as well. And you're kind of debating which one that you wanted to release first through BTB Records. And I remember saying to you, well, when I want your album to be, I want you. I don't want the features. I want Spryte, and to bring your own story into it. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy album.
Yeah, they're the hardest songs I've written. Like most of the time, like I'll sit down and if I hear a beat, I can write a song in, a half hour, 40. I've never had writer's block. Just there's always lyrics and words in my head. But this stuff, like you have to really think about it. Like you got to remember it. You got to think about it. It's like working through it as a counseling session. But I've been told by a couple people, once I get it out there and it's done, I can heal from some of that stuff. So.
Yeah, and everybody knows now, especially in the core group of fans we have, that you bring bars. So, but this one is like now you're just gonna venture out and do something a little different. I think it's gonna really hit well.
I might even sing on it a little bit.
Wow. Make sure you send those exclusive listens my way.
Yeah, I will. I send everything to you. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my verse with Time to Tyrant. Listen.
That's one of the joys of doing this. I get exclusives from Otis. I get them from you, Automatic Siren. I get them from everybody.
Well, and the cipher that we did, I mentioned all the BTB boys in my verse. That was hard to write. That was fun to write, but it was, automatically I'm ruthless. When you in the booth with Otis, it's corrosive. Yeah, I thought that one was good. I'm excited for that to drop.
Me too. We're only missing one, and that's Siren, and he's going to have it back to me real soon.
Awesome.
And going, like, you're writing this solo album that you're doing yourself. You talked about the collaboration EP. Which one do you prefer to do? Do you prefer doing a feature, or do you prefer doing a solo, and why? For both, pros and cons of both, really.
God, that's hard. I like it when, like, if you approach me and say, hey, Spryte, I got this verse. You want to jump on the second one? If you send me your verse, I like to play off that right and then be, a feature on your album or your song. I like the solo songs, like, In the Mix, Why You Want a Girl, Rescue Me. I like those solo projects, but I love to play off another lyricist. Like, if I record, like with Ty, I recorded my verses first, and I used a bunch of his song titles in my verses to, like, show him props, because I think he's a great artist. And then when he got the beat with my vocals, he messaged me back and said, Spryte, give me some song titles. I'm like, song titles of what? He's like, your song titles. I'm like, okay. So I typed up 30 song titles. I sent it to him. 3 days later, he sends me back his verse and chorus for our collab, and it's my song titles. So I'm like, oh my gosh, Tyler Tyrant is saying my song titles. Oh my God, but it was my idea. Let's sing his. Now he'll sing mine. So I like the best when some artists approach me and says, hey, Spryte, I want you to jump on this. And I say, okay, let me hear what you got. I don't like doing blind features. Like I had a guy in Africa send me a beat and say, hey, can you do the verse and a hook? And I'm like, I need to hear yours first, because I'm not jumping on it. If you ain't fire, I'm not jumping on it with you first.
You got to hear them for at least something from them.
Yeah, I'm not just going to go in and write my stuff and then you go on your verse and you're like degrading women and talking crap about, like beating up animals or something. I'm totally against. So I don't do blind features. It has to be, I have to hear what they're going to say, and then I'll, incorporate my twang into it.
Yeah. It's like, I can say too, when I'm working on now Global Domination 2, I'm going to have, I think 24 artists are going to be on that whole album in total. But I always write them first, and I write with that artist in mind. Like, I know, okay, for this one, I want GP and Kronos on this track. So I kind of write it based on them, but it's really rare when I hear their verse first. So they'll give it back and they'll play off me. And sometimes I actually go and rewrite a part of mine, because either they just murdered me on my own track, or I'm like, okay, they took it a little differently with what they're talking about. I kind of want to rewrite it to fit what they're saying. So
when me and Itchy Ideas worked together on our 4 albums, like I would like record my verse and then he'd go and do his. I'd hear his. I'd be like, I gotta rewrite mine. He's like, why? I'm like, you're coming way harder than I was. I was soft on that one. I want to do it over. And 9 times out of 10, he was my engineer also and producer and made our beats. 9 times out of 10, he would let me, but there were a couple songs he's like, nope. I get the limelight on this one. I'm like, what? Let me re-record. He's like, nope. Like the Snuggie Sutra, wouldn't let me re-record. Back up, back off. Wouldn't let me re-record. I was like, I'm so mad at you, but he's the engineer. I mean, he's the one with the mic and stuff. So I'm just like, what am I going to do? I don't know.
Well, I'm looking at the time. We're hitting the end of this interview here, but I like to end with the segment for this show called Name Your Bars.
I know.
I know. And
I was thinking, I'm like, man, what songs do I have out? I've got like 27 songs out right now. Where did he go? SoundCloud, or did he go to Spotify? Where did he go?
I bounced around.
Good. All right.
So we're going to name, I'm going to name a bar or two off one of your tracks, and let's see if you can tell me which track it's from. I'm going to have 5 different tracks, and let's see what you can get for your score. So the first one I got here is Too Soon I'll Be Gone, Body Left to Decay, My Spirit Reincarnated, Live Another Day.
Oh, too soon I'll become body left to decay, my spirit reincarnated, live another day. Goddess.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to like rhyme it to hear it. Yeah.
All right. The second one here is Mixing Business with Pleasure, Weather Changes Never, My Love is Forever.
Confessions.
Yeah, that's the most recent.
That's the newest one. 2
for 2. We're going to go for 3 here is I Wonder Why We Wait. Do we hesitate? Is it real what we feel? Are we running late?
One look in your eyes tells me that we're okay. Taste You.
Perfect. 3 for 3. You know your bars.
Oh, yeah. I performed all these songs at lots of concerts. You have to remember them.
All right. And we're on the 4th one now is Waiting for My Savior to Glorify His Presence. With discipline, I know I can make it through these lessons.
Waiting for my Savior to glorify His presence. With discipline, I know I can make it through these lessons. My walk gets strong if I don't obey, but I keep steady. My walk. Wow, walk. The walk song. My walk, or walk is life, or something. I don't know what it's called.
As I walk, but yeah, close enough. Yeah. So 4 for 4. The final one here. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get this one. Is Time for a Shutdown. What you scared? You'll be rhyming like you're lyrically impaired.
Time for a shutdown. What, you scared? Y'all be running like, pay attention.
Yes, the
Okay.
reason trivia.
I was like,
5
which
for
one is
5.
that?
You joined an exclusive club with that one.
Yeah.
For 5 for 5.
It's hard though. I Gossip Bitches is one of my best songs, and the girls love it. And I was doing a live, and I messed up the second verse. And after my set, this girl came up to me and was like, Spryte, you didn't do the second verse on Gossip. I'm like, what? She's like, you freestyled it. I'm like, I forgot. If I forget the first word, I can't pick it up.
That's the thing.
And I freestyle. She was so mad. She's like, that's like my favorite verse of the song. And you just didn't even do it. You just like, whoop, made it all up. I was sitting there like, this ain't the words. And that girl got mad at me. So I made it a point. And that was when I was like 30 years old. So this was like, 10 years ago. I made it a point when I'm doing a set, I know my bars. Because I'm not having another fan come up to me and say, you didn't do your song right. Like, she was mad. She was mad.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the head. Like, I agree with you 100%. Is that first word is the key to like every line, because it just once that first word comes out, you can just spit the rest of the line out. But if you forget that first word, you're like, I don't know where I'm going with this anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Oh, I'm so glad I beat the wheel and got to talk with you finally.
You did. Thank you very much for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you. It was a long time in the making, but we finally got it done. And yeah, thanks for just taking the time to come up here and chat with me.
Absolutely.
All right. We will keep in touch in the near future. And like I said, this will be on YouTube Friday night. So
sounds good.
all right. Take care.
Take care.